Hey everybody, what's going on? And welcome to Rock and Roll True Stories. I wanted to talk about a couple news stories that caught my attention the last couple days. But first, go check out the video I posted this morning at 10 a.m. Eastern. It's all about the drunken mess of an interview that was Kiss being interviewed on the Tom Snyder Show from 1979. It's one of my favorite rock and roll interviews of all time, and it's just so funny to see Gene Simmons get irritated and annoyed for the entire interview. So let's talk about an interview that Slayer's manager recently gave. He revealed that the band is, of course, scheduled to play their final set of shows of their career later this month, and that the touring finale doesn't mean it's necessarily the end of the band. So the band's manager, Rick Sales, gave an interview to Mass Live, and he said that while many fans are focused on final dates at the end of the month, it doesn't mean it's the end of the group. He said the band always had a lot of integrity, alluding to the idea that their intent is to play lengthy farewell tour was part of the way of going out while they still are on their game. He added, "There's a couple of things that go on. I totally get that they made a decision to stop touring, but that doesn't mean the end of the band. It's just the end of touring. I always thought of it as you go out on top, and they made that decision. They're not milking it, and from that standpoint, I get it, and they made the right choice." Now, Slayer will play their final two nights at the Forum in Los Angeles on November 29th and 30th. And I will be finally doing some Slayer videos on my channel. I was thinking of maybe making that week all Slayer week, or maybe doing 3 or 4 videos on Slayer just that week, given that that's a band that's been requested by some people, and I've been wanting to cover them, but I haven't had the chance yet. So let's go into our next news story. Now, another news story caught my attention. So Taylor Hawkins has been out promoting his side project from the Foo Fighters. He gave an interview to Classic Rock where he revealed that he almost tried out for Guns N' Roses in the late 90s. So he was, a couple of years into the Foo Fighters. They were just touring in support of their 1999 album, There's Nothing Left to Lose, which I've done a true story episode about. And Hawkins' mom called him to tell him that a member of Axl Rose's management team had made contact. And he went on to tell Classic Rock that Axl was trying to get together a new version of Guns N' Roses. I think he was checking around for people. They wanted to know if I would come in and try out or whatever. It was kind of otherworldly. So Hawkins decided to call Roger Taylor for advice, who recounted his own similar experience in the early 70s when former Matt the Hoople members Ian Hunter and Mick Ronson were forming their own band, and they asked Roger Taylor to join, but he chose to stay in Queen even though the band hadn't broken through yet. With Hawkins remembering, he couldn't imagine being on stage and looking up and not seeing Freddie Mercury or Brian May in front of him. He went on to say, "I see you and Dave on stage and there's something you can't buy there. There's something between you guys, and it might not be there with Axl Rose," and he was right. He talked a bit about Dave Grohl. He said, "For all the trials and tribulations, Dave is like a brother. When we walk out on stage, we nod and look at each other and go, all right, here we go. We're getting in the ring together." Now, Hawkins recently released his solo record, Get the Money, and confirmed that work is already underway on the new Foo Fighters LP, saying it's still a fetus at this point, but things can move quickly with Dave Grohl. Now, given the timeline that Hawkins was talking about, session drummer Josh Freese played in Guns N' Roses for 2 years from 1998 to 2000, and then he would be replaced by Brain on the drums. So it's likely that Brain probably came in, filled that role. He was in the band until 2006, and then Frank came in and played drums on GNR ever since. Turning now to our last news story. So we've been reporting a bit about the Black Crowes reunion, how original drummer Steve Gorman will not be taking part in it. But it looks like the first Black Crowes reunion tour dates have at least leaked online, and they have announced that they will be playing their entire debut LP in its entirety. So the shows are scheduled to take place, at least the leaked ones, according to Blabbermouth. They found a tweeted photo of a billboard in New York City that says the band will play on July 17th, 2020 at PNC Bank Arts Center in New Jersey, and again the next day in Jones Beach Theater in New York. Now the sign also adds that they will play the 1990 record in its entirety, plus all the hits. So if you guys remember, in January 2015, a little more than a year after the band's last concert, Rich Robinson formally announced that the Black Crowes had broken up due to internal power and financial battles, saying, "I love my brother and respect his talent, but his present demand that I must give up my equal share of the band and that our drummer for 28 years and original partner Steve Gorman relinquish 100% of his share, reducing him to a salaried employee, is not something I could agree with." So that concludes today's video, guys. Thanks for watching. Be sure to like button and subscribe. And as always, let me know which topics you'd like to see me cover. And if you guys have stayed for this length of the video, I'll let you know that tomorrow at 10 a.m. Eastern, I will be doing a video on Nirvana and their Live from the Wishkah album that came out in the mid to late 90s. And it's kind of like, I consider it their forgotten live album. Because when people think of Nirvana Live, they think of Unplugged or maybe one of the more recent live albums they've put out, like Live at Writing Festival. But that does it for today's video, guys. Take care. I'll see you tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. Eastern.